The boardroom shimmered like a glass cathedral suspended above Manhattan. The walls were transparent, but nothing inside was clear. Power here moved in silence, through glances, pauses, and the weight of who dared to speak first. Maya Ross straightened her blazer and tried not to let her heartbeat echo in her ears. This was her moment, 15 minutes to present her proposal to the executive board of Arden Capital, one of the most cutthroat conglomerates in the country. Across the room sat Daniel Shaw, vice president of finance, a man whose name carried both admiration and fear. Rumor said he'd shut down entire divisions with a single spreadsheet. And now his gaze was on her. Miss Ross, Evelyn Drake's voice sliced through the air like ice. The CEO leaned back, her sharp silver hair catching the light. You may begin. Maya pressed the clicker. The holographic screen flickered to life behind her, casting pale blue light across the table. Project Echelon, she began, her tone calm but commanding. A restructuring of Arden's investment branches to reduce risk exposure by 27%, while increasing yield through AI-based predictive models. She spoke like she'd rehearsed 1,000 times, because she had. The graphs danced across the screen, her voice steady, deliberate, slicing through skepticism. But when she reached the third slide, Daniel interrupted. Your projection assumes a 3% global growth rate, he said, his voice smooth, low, and cutting. That's optimistic, considering our Asian market exposure. The other board members turned. Evelyn's expression didn't change. Maya looked directly at Daniel. I accounted for that, she replied. If you notice, she flicked her wrist, the graph expanded, we've hedged using liquidity buffers in tech subsidiaries. Your department signed off on them last quarter. A few quiet chuckles. Daniel's lips curved, almost smiling. So you came prepared. I don't come any other way. That earned her a pause. Long enough to make Evelyn raise an eyebrow. Maya continued, explaining not just the numbers, but the vision, how Arden could dominate post-recession if it acted fast. By the time she finished, the silence in the room was different, heavier, charged. Evelyn's fingers tapped once on the table. Impressive, she said slowly. Perhaps too impressive. Maya felt a chill crawl down her spine. Compliments from Evelyn were never just compliments. Daniel leaned forward, elbows on the table. I have one final question, Miss Ross. She met his gaze. Of course. If this plan fails, who takes the fall? A test. Every junior executive froze at that question. There was only one wrong answer, and 1,000 ways to say it. Maya didn't blink. If the plan fails, she said, then I'll be the first to take responsibility. But it won't fail. Daniel's eyes flickered, something between interest and warning. Evelyn leaned back, a faint smile touching her lips. Very well. You'll lead a pilot division. Shaw will oversee your numbers. Maya's pulse kicked. That meant direct supervision from Daniel, the man known for destroying careers before breakfast. She forced a calm nod. Understood. The meeting ended with polite applause, the kind that hides knives behind it. When everyone began to file out, Daniel lingered. As Maya gathered her files, he approached, close enough that she could smell his cologne, cedar, and steel. You handled yourself well, he murmured. Most people don't challenge me in front of the board. Maybe they should, she replied softly. He smirked, eyes dark. Careful, Ross. In this company, confidence is often mistaken for arrogance. Then I'll make sure they never confuse the two. For a second, the tension between them felt almost electric, professional respect tangled with something neither could admit. Then Evelyn's voice echoed from the doorway. Daniel. My office. Now. He straightened, his expression shifting back to stone. Welcome to Arden, he said quietly. Enjoy the climb. And he walked away. Maya exhaled slowly, the city lights burning through the glass like distant fires. She knew what she'd just stepped into, a world of silent wars and smiling assassins. But she wasn't afraid. Because somewhere deep inside, she wanted this war. By the next morning, the corridors of Arden capital were no longer just glass and marble, they were mirrors, reflecting secrets. Whispers moved faster than emails. Evelyn Drake might be stepping down. The rumor had no source, but in Arden, that didn't matter. It had weight, because people wanted it to be true. Maya walked through the 47th floor with her tablet pressed to her chest, pretending not to hear the fragments around her. Did you hear? The board's calling an emergency review. Daniel Shaw's name came up. She's grooming a successor. Her presentation from the previous day had gone viral inside the company. Overnight, she'd become the new blood, admired, envied, and targeted. When she stepped into her cubicle, an envelope was waiting. No name. Just the Arden seal. Inside, a short note. The real meeting is never in the calendar. D. Her pulse quickened. Daniel. She checked the company schedule, no meetings listed. But the lower corner of the note had coordinates, penthouse level, 9 p.m. That night, the building looked different. The glass gleamed darker. Fewer lights, fewer witnesses. When she stepped into the elevator, the only button that glowed was P. The penthouse was nothing like the rest of Arden, no fluorescent coldness, no boardroom tables. Just city lights spilling into an open suite. Daniel Shaw stood by the window, jacket off, tie loosened, a glass of whiskey in hand. You came, he said without turning. You summoned me, she replied. He looked over his shoulder, eyes catching the city's reflection. I wanted to see if you'd dare. Maya crossed her arms. You left a cryptic note. It's not exactly corporate protocol. Neither is what's coming, he murmured, handing her a file from the table. Inside were internal memos, board votes, financial records, all pointing to one thing: Evelyn was planning to sell a major division to an offshore buyer. Quietly. Before the quarterly meeting. Maya's stomach dropped. This would tank hundreds of jobs. And inflate her retirement package by 50 million, Daniel finished. He watched her reaction. Now you understand why the walls are whispering. She closed the file. Why show me this? You barely know me. His tone sharpened. Because you're the only one she doesn't control yet. That word, yet, hit like static in the air. Are you asking me to betray her? Maya asked carefully. I'm asking you to survive. Silence stretched between them, the city below flickering like a sea of gold and secrets. Then he added, quietly, Evelyn's testing both of us. She wants to see who will flinch first. Maya looked at him, trying to read the man behind the calculation. And what about you, Daniel? What's in it for you? He smiled faintly. Power. The same thing you want. The words sank in like poison and truth all at once. Before she could answer, the glass door slid open. A woman stepped in, tall, elegant, wearing white like armor. Evelyn Drake. Maya froze. Daniel's expression didn't change. I see you've met after hours, Evelyn said, voice cool. How enterprising. This isn't what it looks like, Maya started. Of course it is, Evelyn interrupted. Ambition never hides well. She walked closer, her heels echoing like a metronome of judgment. You think I don't recognize the scent of a coup? You both want the same thing, my chair. Daniel's jaw tightened. If you thought that, you wouldn't still be standing here. Evelyn smirked. Oh, I'm not standing here for my safety, Daniel. I'm here to see who blinks. Then she turned to Maya. Miss Ross. Let's make this interesting. In 48 hours, you'll both present your proposals for the company's future. Whoever wins, wins everything. The loser. She let the silence hang. Will find the doors of Arden closed permanently. Evelyn's perfume lingered long after she left. Maya felt her throat tighten. She's setting us up. Daniel downed the rest of his drink. Welcome to the real boardroom. She turned to him. If we both play her game, one of us is finished. He looked at her, eyes unreadable. Then maybe it's time we play ours. Maya took a slow breath, every instinct screaming that this was a trap, yet she couldn't walk away. Because beneath the danger was something else, a current of fascination, of recognition. They were the same kind of creature. When the elevator doors closed behind her that night, her reflection in the glass no longer looked like an analyst. It looked like a contender. The invitation came at 7:42 p.m. A single text on Maya's phone. Dinner. Gramercy Hall. Private room. 9 p.m. DS. No greeting. No explanation. Just the address of one of the most exclusive restaurants in Manhattan, the kind where billionaires negotiated peace treaties and mergers under candlelight. Maya stared at the message for a full minute before locking her screen. She told herself she wouldn't go. Then she found herself standing in front of Gramercy Hall an hour later, the October wind brushing her hair against the collar of her coat. Inside, the maitre d' led her down a quiet corridor to a room made of mahogany and glass. Daniel Shaw was already there, seated near the window overlooking the city, jacket off, sleeves rolled, whiskey untouched. Maya, he greeted, voice low. Right on time. She forced a polite smile. Wasn't sure if this was a meeting or a trap. He smirked. In Arden, they're the same thing. The waiter poured wine and vanished like a ghost. The silence that followed wasn't awkward, it was deliberate. Daniel had a way of using silence like a weapon. Maya finally spoke. You know Evelyn's setting us against each other. He nodded. She's always done that. Divide, observe, eliminate. It's how she kept power for 15 years. So why play along? He leaned back. Because sometimes, the only way to win a rigged game, is to play it better. Their eyes locked. There was something unnerving about him, the calm precision, the faint amusement when she pushed back. You think you can outsmart her? She asked. I already have, Daniel said simply. But I need someone she doesn't expect. Someone like me? Someone who hasn't learned to be afraid yet. The words made her heart skip, not from flattery, but recognition. He saw right through her armor. Here's what I'm offering, he continued, sliding a sealed folder across the table. Information. Real numbers from the offshore accounts. Proof of what she's hiding. Maya hesitated. And what do you want in return? He smiled faintly. Loyalty. To you? To the truth, he corrected. At least my version of it. Maya stared at the folder but didn't open it. You're asking me to gamble my career on your word. I'm asking you to decide whether you want to survive as an employee, or live as a player. His tone was calm, but underneath it was a challenge, the kind that demanded a choice. She leaned forward. If I say yes, what happens next? He studied her for a long moment. Then we stop pretending. We take the game to her before she takes it to us. The air between them thickened, half strategy, half temptation. The waiter returned, discreetly serving 2 plates of seared salmon, then vanished again. Daniel lifted his glass. To dangerous alliances. Maya's glass clinked against his. To not dying first. They drank. The wine burned smooth, like secrets shared too soon. For a few minutes, conversation drifted toward safer territory, markets, mergers, the illusion of control. But when Daniel's phone buzzed, he glanced at the screen and went still. Maya caught it, a message preview flashing briefly. She knows. Get rid of her. J.P. Julian Park. Head of Communications. Evelyn's shadow. Her pulse froze. What was that? Nothing, Daniel said too quickly. She stood. Don't lie to me. He met her glare, and for the first time, the mask cracked. It's complicated. You're working with Julian? No. He's working through me. She stepped closer. Then what am I? A pawn in your counterplay? Daniel's voice dropped. You're the only one I can't predict. It wasn't an answer, but it wasn't a lie either. He reached for her wrist. She didn't pull away immediately. The tension was sharp enough to draw blood. If you stay, he said softly, you'll see the whole truth. But you might not like what it costs. Her voice was steady, though her pulse was not. I've already paid too much to stop now. For a second, the room held its breath. The city below pulsed like a heart, thousands of lights flickering beneath them. Then Maya stepped back, breaking the moment. Send me the files, she said. If we're doing this, I need everything. Daniel nodded. You'll have them by morning. And Daniel, she added, pausing at the door. If you cross me. He smiled without warmth. You'll see me coming. Outside, the night wind bit through her coat. Her reflection in the restaurant glass was sharper now, harder. The girl who walked in had been uncertain. The woman who walked out was already planning her next move. And high above, in an office where every secret was currency, Evelyn Drake watched the restaurant through a private camera feed, her lips curving in satisfaction. Let the children play, she whispered. They'll tear each other apart before sunrise. 900 words. The following morning, the city was gray and glassy, the kind of day where every reflection looked like a lie. Maya arrived at Arden Capital earlier than usual, her mind replaying every word from the dinner. Daniel had promised to send the files. He hadn't. Instead, her inbox was empty. Cold. Clean. Too clean. She sipped her coffee and scrolled through her internal messages. That's when she noticed it, a restricted meeting request hidden deep in the financial archive, board audit, confidential. 7 p.m. Level 80. No one on her level should have access to that. Her instincts flared. Behind closed doors. She waited until sunset, blending with the night shift. Most employees had left. The top floors were silent except for the hum of ventilation and the soft echo of her heels on marble. The elevator chimed open to the 80th floor, a level few ever saw. It wasn't listed on the public directory. No reception desk. No lights except for a dim corridor that led to a steel door marked authorized personnel only. She crouched near the corner, heart pounding, and watched through the glass slit. Inside, 5 people sat around a circular table. Evelyn Drake at the head, composed, predatory. Julian Park beside her, scrolling his phone, smirking. 2 older board members she didn't recognize. And Daniel Shaw. Her breath caught. The conversation was muffled, but the tone was unmistakable. This wasn't a casual meeting. Julian's voice came through faintly. If she delivers the data, we can pin it on her. Clean exit for all of us. Maya's blood froze. Deliver the data? Evelyn nodded slowly. She's ambitious enough to think she's climbing, let her. When the fall comes, no one will question why. Daniel didn't respond immediately. He just stared at the table, fingers interlaced. Finally, he spoke. She won't go down quietly. Evelyn's eyes narrowed. Then make sure she doesn't go down alone. Something inside Maya cracked, not fear, not yet. Something colder. Clarity. She turned to leave, but the glass panel creaked under her palm. The sound echoed. Heads lifted. Daniel's gaze snapped to the window. Their eyes met through the glass, his widening in shock. Maya, he mouthed. She ran. The hallway felt endless, every echo betraying her. The elevator took too long, so she darted into a maintenance stairwell, lungs burning. Her phone vibrated, Daniel Shaw. She ignored it. When she finally reached the parking garage, rain was slamming the concrete like a storm of nails. She slid into her car, hands trembling, chest tight. The phone rang again. This time, she answered. Don't call me again. Maya, listen to me. I saw everything. You're playing both sides. It's not what you think. Then what is it, Daniel? Because it looked a lot like betrayal. There was silence on the other end, the kind that feels like someone deciding what truth to tell. Then his voice dropped, lower, almost pleading. You weren't supposed to see that. Evelyn is using me to bait you. You looked pretty comfortable being her executioner. She's forcing my hand, Maya. If I don't comply, I lose everything. Her laugh was sharp. You mean your chair? No, he said quietly. My family. My reputation. You don't know what she's capable of. Maya's voice trembled, but not with fear anymore. And what do you think I'm capable of? He exhaled. That's what scares me. She hung up. For a long time, she sat there, watching the rain crawl down the windshield. The skyline glittered like 1,000 false promises. Then she opened her laptop and began to type. If they wanted a scapegoat, she'd give them a story, one she controlled. She hacked into the encrypted folder Daniel had shown her during the dinner. The passcode hadn't changed. Inside were records Evelyn had buried, fraudulent transfers, political donations, secret shareholders. But one file stopped her cold. d_shaw_private_transfer.pdf. Transaction logs. Offshore accounts. Daniel wasn't just Evelyn's pawn. He had his own secret stream of funds, millions funneled through subsidiaries she'd never seen. Her breath caught. He lied. The intercom in the parking lot suddenly buzzed to life. Maya Ross, a voice said. Male, unfamiliar. You've triggered a security alert. Please remain in your vehicle. She slammed the laptop shut. The floodlights came on, blinding her. 2 black-suited guards appeared at the ramp entrance. Her heart spiked, not fear, but adrenaline. She jammed the car into gear and hit the gas. The tires screamed against the wet concrete as she tore out of the garage, rain exploding against the windshield. Behind her, alarms echoed up the tower. As she vanished into the night, her phone buzzed one last time, a message from Daniel. Don't run. You don't know what's on that drive. She stared at it, then threw the phone into the passenger seat. No, she whispered. You don't know who you're dealing with. The elevator to the executive floor moved like a guillotine, silent, smooth, and absolute. Maya stared at her reflection in the mirrored walls. Every second that passed was a countdown she didn't control. At 7 a.m., she'd received a single message from Evelyn Drake. My office. No delays. That was it. No greeting. No warning. And now, standing in front of the frosted glass door with the gold plaque CEO, Maya felt the weight of every decision she'd made since stepping into this building. Enter, came the voice. Evelyn's office looked out over the city like a throne above a battlefield. The woman herself stood by the window, one hand wrapped around a cup of black coffee, eyes sharp enough to cut marble. "Miss Ross," she said without turning. "You made quite the impression this week." Maya forced her voice steady. "I wasn't aware I was being graded." Evelyn smiled faintly. "Everyone here is. Constantly." She finally turned. "You've been busy, dinner meetings, late-night logins, unusual access to restricted files. Tell me, should I interpret that as initiative, or treason?" Maya's pulse spiked. "If you think I've done something wrong, you should call security." "Oh, I would," Evelyn said coolly, "if I didn't think you might actually be useful." That threw Maya off balance. "Useful?" Evelyn moved closer, her heels whispering against the polished floor. "Someone is leaking board documents to external investors. Someone inside my circle." Her gaze narrowed. "I want you to find out who." Maya blinked. "You're asking me to investigate the board?" "I'm asking you to prove your loyalty," Evelyn said. "The same way Daniel Shaw once did." At that name, Maya's stomach twisted. "You trust him?" Evelyn's smile didn't reach her eyes. "I trust him to protect himself. Which is why I need someone who still believes in the illusion of doing what's right." The manipulation was surgical, a mix of praise and threat. Maya recognized it for what it was. But part of her, the ambitious, calculating part, understood the opportunity beneath it. "What happens if I find the leak?" she asked. "Then you'll have my full support," Evelyn said. "A promotion. A permanent seat at the table. And if I don't? Then you'll prove you don't belong here." Evelyn handed her a black folder. Inside were access credentials, surveillance logs, and the company's internal communication archive. "The clock starts now," Evelyn said. "You have 72 hours. Maya turned to leave, but Evelyn's voice followed like smoke. "Oh, and Miss Ross." "Yes?" "Be careful where you dig. Sometimes, the truth bites." For the next 48 hours, Maya didn't sleep. She combed through thousands of encrypted emails, cross-referenced access logs, and traced server patterns. The leak was real, and sophisticated. Whoever was behind it had administrative clearance. Someone with deep reach. The digital signature pointed to D. Shaw Finance at Arden. "Daniel." Her chest tightened. Every piece fell into place, the secret meetings, the missing files, the warning messages. He'd played her from the start. Or had he? She hesitated. Evelyn could have planted that trail. In Arden, even the truth could be engineered. At 2 a.m., she sat alone in the data center, light from the screens painting her face blue. Her phone buzzed, an unknown number. She answered. "Maya." Daniel's voice. Tired, rough. "How did you get this number?" "I told you not to dig into those files." "You mean the ones that prove you've been leaking to outside investors?" He sighed. "Evelyn wants you to think that." "She handed me evidence." "She manufactured evidence." Maya clenched her jaw. "Then why does every path lead back to you?" "Because she needed a name the board would believe. And I've been convenient since the day I stopped obeying her." His tone darkened. "You're in danger, Maya. She's setting up a fall. Yours, not mine." The line went dead. Maya sat still for a moment, phone pressed to her ear, the hum of servers echoing around her. Then she noticed a blinking red light on the ceiling, the security camera. She looked up, and froze. It wasn't recording her workstation. It was pointed directly at her face. A cold realization hit. Evelyn didn't just want proof. She wanted footage. Maya, alone in the data center, accessing forbidden files, the perfect visual confession. She shut the laptop, grabbed the black folder, and slipped out through the side stairwell. By the time she reached the street, dawn was breaking, the sky bleeding orange between the towers. Her phone buzzed again. A new message. Unknown, she's watching from her penthouse. Don't go home. Her pulse spiked. Another message followed immediately. If you want to survive, meet me. Tonight. No lies this time. D. Maya stared at the screen as the morning light rose over the skyline. Her choices were running out, and for the first time, she didn't know whether to run from Daniel, or toward him. Rain poured down the glass walls like melted mercury, distorting the city below. Maya stood outside the penthouse apartment Daniel had sent her the address for, soaked to the bone, clutching the black folder like a lifeline. She hesitated. Every instinct screamed trap. But curiosity, or something darker, pushed her to knock. The door opened before she touched it. Daniel stood there, shirt unbuttoned at the collar, sleeves rolled, the faint scent of whiskey and rain mixing with something expensive and dangerous. You came, he said. You didn't give me much of a choice. He stepped aside. That's never stopped you before. Inside, the apartment was all steel and glass, the kind of place built for someone who didn't plan to stay long anywhere. The city lights bled through the windows like fire. Maya dropped the folder on his table. Evelyn's setting me up. She gave me fake evidence, said it was you. Daniel poured 2 glasses of whiskey. That part's true. Her eyes narrowed. Excuse me? He handed her the glass. It is me she wants you to believe in. Whether as the villain or the savior, doesn't matter. Either way, she keeps control. Maya didn't drink. And which are you, Daniel? The villain or the savior? His gaze met hers, sharp, unreadable. Depends on the day. Lightning flashed across the skyline. For a second, it illuminated them both, 2 reflections of the same ambition, standing on opposite sides of a storm. I saw you in that board meeting, she said. I heard what you said about me. He exhaled. You were never supposed to hear that. But you said it. I said what I had to keep her from suspecting me. Then what am I to you, Daniel? He hesitated, long enough for the silence to feel heavier than the truth. Finally, he said, a problem I can't solve. Her pulse kicked. Then maybe I should remove myself from your equation. He moved closer. You won't. The distance between them shrank, electric. Maya should have stepped back, but didn't. You think I'm afraid of you? She whispered. I think you're afraid of what happens if you stop fighting me. He reached past her, placing his hand flat against the glass window behind her head, trapping her without touching. His voice dropped, low and rough. You want to know the truth, Maya? Evelyn doesn't just want you gone. She wants your data, the analytics you built for Project Echelon. She's planning to sell it off before the quarter ends. Maya froze. That's impossible. That system is proprietary. Not if she proves you falsified your metrics. Her stomach twisted. She's already framing me. Exactly. And if she succeeds, you'll never work in this city again. He stepped back, giving her space. You have 2 options, he said. Expose her before she moves, or disappear before she buries you. Maya's voice steadied. There's a 3rd option. Daniel arched a brow. Which is? Beat her at her own game. He gave a quiet, almost dangerous smile. Now you're starting to sound like me. She set the untouched whiskey down. Don't flatter yourself. I'm not on your side. He studied her, like a chess master watching a piece he didn't expect to move. No, he said. But you're standing on the same board. For a moment, neither spoke. The air between them hummed with something unspoken, not trust, not yet, but the raw awareness of two predators recognizing each other. Maya broke the silence first. If you're telling the truth, then prove it. Give me something real, something I can use. Daniel walked to a drawer and pulled out a slim data drive, tossing it onto the table. Encrypted files. Every offshore transaction Evelyn's ever approved. Use them wisely. She picked it up carefully. If this is another setup. It's not. Then why help me? He paused, and for once, his voice lost its armor. Because I'm tired of playing her puppet. And maybe I think you could burn the strings. She turned toward the door. Don't mistake me for your redemption. I wouldn't dare. Just as she reached for the handle, he said, Maya. She looked back. If you're going to take her down, he said, make sure you win. People like Evelyn don't forgive failure. Maya met his gaze one last time, sharp, defiant. Neither do I. She left. Outside, the rain had stopped, but thunder still rolled through the distance. The flash drive in her hand felt heavier than metal, it felt like a weapon. For the first time since joining Arden, she realized she wasn't just in the game. She was ready to change its rules. The drive burned cold in Maya's hand, a tiny metal secret heavy enough to crush an empire. Back at her apartment, she killed every light, closed every curtain, and connected the drive to a secure, offline laptop, a habit she'd learned long before Arden. On the screen, a folder appeared, E_DRK_transactions. She double-clicked. The first file opened into rows of numbers, transfers, shell accounts, offshore holdings. But these weren't just Evelyn's. Each transaction was linked to board members, politicians, foreign investors. Arden wasn't a company. It was a front, a living organism feeding on bribes, laundering, and corporate espionage. Then her eyes froze on one entry. Recipient, Ross Holdings LLC, $2 million. Her last name. She clicked for details. The sender, Daniel Shaw. Her heart hammered. She'd never received that money. The account didn't exist. But on paper, it did. Evelyn's trap was perfect, a falsified link tying Maya directly to financial fraud. The cursor trembled in her hand. He'd given her the drive, knowing what was inside. The sound of glass breaking made her jolt. A window. The faint whistle of air. Maya turned off the monitor and froze. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Controlled. She reached into her drawer, pulled out a small stun gun, an old gift from a friend at IT security. Who's there? A shadow moved near the balcony, framed by lightning. Then a voice, low, calm, familiar. Relax. It's me. Daniel stepped into the dim light, rain still glistening on his coat. You shouldn't be here, Maya hissed. How did you even? He raised a hand. You didn't answer your phone. I had to make sure you were safe. Safe? She laughed, sharp and cold. You gave me a drive that ties me to money laundering. Daniel blinked. What? Don't act surprised. She threw the USB onto the table. $2 million, Daniel. To Ross Holdings. My name. My ruin. He stared at it, confusion flickering across his face, then something darker. She tampered with it. She? Evelyn. She has an access key to every encrypted copy. She must have added your name after I pulled the files. Convenient, Maya said. You always have an answer ready. This isn't a game to me. It's always been a game to you. To both of you. The tension between them crackled like the lightning outside. Maya, he said quietly, stepping closer. If I wanted to destroy you, I wouldn't have warned you. I wouldn't have risked coming here. Her hand tightened on the stun gun. Then why did you? His voice dropped to a whisper. Because I need you to see what's coming. He reached into his coat and placed a printed photo on the table. It showed a grainy image of Evelyn shaking hands with a man Maya didn't recognize, older, foreign, standing beside a black SUV with diplomatic plates. Who is that? She asked. Sergei Volkov, Daniel said. Private financier. He's buying Arden's data architecture. The sale goes through tomorrow night. The predictive models, she whispered. He nodded. Yours. She's already signed the offshore agreement. Maya felt her chest tighten. Her work, years of her life, sold to fund corruption. She's transferring the assets through proxies, Daniel said. If we don't stop her now, she'll walk away clean, and you'll take the fall for the missing millions. Maya stared at the screen again, the falsified transaction still glowing like a curse. How do we stop her? Daniel hesitated. We don't. You do. What do you mean? She trusts you. She believes she still has you under control. Use that. Pretend to deliver what she wants, then expose her to the board before she can erase you. Maya stepped closer, voice cold. And where will you be while I risk everything? He met her gaze. Cleaning up the mess you can't. For a moment, neither spoke. Rain hammered the windows like a countdown. Then Maya said softly, You're asking me to betray her. I'm asking you to survive her. Her mind spun, images flashing like glass shards, Evelyn's smirk, the fake transactions, the city glowing like a billion silent witnesses. Finally, she said, I'll do it. But if this goes wrong, Daniel, I'll take you down with me. I wouldn't expect anything less. He turned to leave, pausing at the door. Maya. She looked up. When you face her, don't flinch. She feeds on fear. After he left, Maya stood alone in the dark, thunder rolling overhead. She looked at the drive one more time, then slipped it into her pocket. Her reflection in the rain-streaked glass stared back, the same woman, but colder. Harder. The kind of person who could destroy a queen to save herself. The storm hadn't stopped. By the time Maya reached Daniel's apartment again, thunder was crawling across the skyline like a living thing. She hadn't planned to see him, not after what she'd found. But something inside her needed answers before she walked into Evelyn's office tomorrow. When he opened the door, he looked like he hadn't slept in days. His shirt was half-buttoned, eyes rimmed red, a bottle of untouched bourbon on the counter. You shouldn't be here, he said quietly. Then tell me why I am, she replied, pushing past him. Tell me why my name is on that transfer. Daniel closed the door slowly, his face unreadable. You already know the answer. Do I? Maya turned to face him. Because every time I think I understand you, I find another lie. He moved toward the window, rain reflecting off his face like fractured light. You think I wanted this? You think I chose to be her executioner? Stop deflecting, Maya said, voice sharp. You had the access. The authority. You created the offshore routes. Was it all for her? No, his tone cracked, raw. It was for me. The words hung in the air like smoke. Maya felt her stomach tighten. Then this was all a game. He turned, eyes blazing. You don't understand. Evelyn built this company out of blackmail. Every single one of us owes her something. When I joined Arden, she had dirt on me, my brother's debts, my mother's medical bills, my own early trades. She owned me before I even signed the contract. He ran a hand through his hair, exhaling. At first, I did her bidding. I cleaned her books, silenced her enemies, made millions vanish where no one could trace them. But the more she took, the less there was left of me. So I started copying everything, every transaction, every secret. Not to save her. To destroy her. Maya crossed her arms. And you thought dragging me into this would make it easier? I didn't drag you. You walked in. Because you baited me, she snapped. Because you knew I couldn't resist proving myself. Daniel looked at her, guilt flickering across his face. That wasn't the plan. You were supposed to get out before it got ugly. Maya's voice dropped. Too late. He stepped closer, lowering his tone. You don't have to face her tomorrow. Give me the drive and walk away. I can't. Why not? Because she won't stop at me. And because of what's on it. Daniel frowned. What do you mean? She took a breath. The drive doesn't just expose her. It exposes you. He froze. What are you talking about? There's a folder in there, Daniel. D_Shaw_transfers. Millions. Years of payments to your own accounts. His face went pale. That's impossible. It's there. Your name. Your password trail. Everything. He looked like she'd hit him. She set me up, he whispered. She used my credentials. Maybe, Maya said softly. Or maybe you're better at lying than even you realize. The silence between them was sharp enough to cut. Finally, he said, if you believe I did it, why are you here? Because I still need the truth. Daniel's jaw tightened. You already have it. Evelyn's been selling Arden piece by piece to Volkov for years. She's laundering through shell companies I built, yes, but I was feeding the evidence to the Department of Justice through a proxy. Who's the proxy? He hesitated. Daniel. He met her eyes. You. Maya's breath caught. What? You think it was a coincidence you were promoted so fast? That your presentation got Evelyn's attention? She chose you because I recommended you. I needed someone clean, someone she couldn't trace. I used your credentials to transmit data to the DOJ. You were my ghost. The room spun. You used me. I was protecting you, he said quietly. No, she hissed. You were protecting yourself. He stepped forward, but she backed away. Maya. Don't. Her voice shook, part fury, part heartbreak. You turned me into your cover story. The moment this blows up, I take the fall. Daniel's expression hardened. If you go to Evelyn tomorrow, she'll kill you. Then maybe I'll take her down first. Maya. Don't follow me. She grabbed the drive, turned, and headed for the door. But before she left, she looked back, and saw something in his eyes she hadn't before. Fear. Real, unguarded fear. Whatever you think you're doing, he said softly, you're not ready for her. She held his gaze. I wasn't ready for you either. The door slammed behind her, leaving Daniel alone with the storm. He stared at the empty glass on the table, then at his reflection in the rain-streaked window. Somewhere deep in the city, the clock on Evelyn's deal was ticking down, and now, the two people who could stop her were finally on opposite sides. The video hit the company servers at 6:03 a.m. No warning. No watermark. Just an anonymous upload titled, Truth at Arden. Within minutes, the file had spread through every department, every inbox, every phone. Maya's face filled the screen, grainy security footage from the data center. She was alone, opening the forbidden drive Evelyn had given her. Her voice faint but clear. If the plan fails, I'll take responsibility. Spliced next came Daniel, his recorded call from weeks ago, the one where he said, she won't go down quietly. Together, the clips told one story, collusion, fraud, and treason against Arden Capital. By the time Maya arrived at the office, whispers had already turned into headlines. VP and strategist caught in internal conspiracy. Evelyn Drake's protégés under investigation. She barely made it through the front doors before 2 security guards blocked her path. "Miss Ross," one said, voice flat. "The board requests your presence." Conference Room 1A. Every step down the marble hall felt heavier than the last. The building that once felt like her cathedral now felt like a cage. When the elevator doors opened, Daniel was already there, flanked by 2 executives, his expression unreadable. They locked eyes for a split second. The silence said everything, he'd seen it too. Inside, the massive glass table gleamed like ice. Evelyn Drake sat at the head, immaculate as ever, a faint smile touching her lips. Julian Park stood behind her, hands clasped. His smirk barely hidden. "Miss Ross." "Mr. Shaw." Evelyn's voice was almost gentle. "You've both had quite the night." Maya stayed silent. Daniel did too. Evelyn gestured toward the display screen on the wall. The video began to play again. "Imagine my disappointment," she said softly, "finding 2 of my brightest employees plotting in secret." Julian's voice slid in smoothly. "They leaked proprietary data. Collaborated with outside investors. A betrayal of Arden's core trust." Maya clenched her fists. "That video's a fabrication." Julian smiled. "Of course it is. But it doesn't matter anymore. The narrative is already written." Evelyn stood, walking toward them. "You see, truth isn't about what happened. It's about what people believe happened." Her perfume filled the air, expensive, precise, suffocating. "I built Arden on control," she said. "And control begins with perception. You too. You're the perfect scapegoats." Maya's pulse pounded in her ears. "You think I'll let you destroy me?" Evelyn's smile widened. "You won't have a choice." She turned to Daniel. "You, of all people, should understand that, dear. You helped me build the system that buries people alive." Daniel's jaw tightened. For the first time, he looked small, not weak, but cornered. Julian handed Evelyn a tablet. "The board will vote by noon to suspend both of them. Legal will follow by end of day." Evelyn glanced at Maya. "Unless, of course, one of you decides to cooperate." Maya's breath caught. "Meaning? Tell me who's been feeding data to external authorities. Confess. And I might let you keep your life, if not your career." Daniel spoke before she could. "Don't." Evelyn's eyes flicked to him. "Still protecting her?" He met her gaze, steady. "You've already lost, Evelyn." She laughed softly. Bold words from a man moments away from erasure. She turned to Julian. "See them out." 2 guards approached. Daniel and Maya were escorted down the hall, past employees pretending not to stare. The elevator doors closed with a metallic hiss, sealing their fate. When the doors opened again, they were in the parking garage, the same place Maya had fled weeks earlier. Daniel broke the silence first. "She played her hand too soon." Maya glared. "We just got executed in front of the board." "Exactly." His tone sharpened. "That means she's scared." She frowned. "Of what?" "Of what's still missing." He opened his briefcase, revealing a small encrypted tablet. "Before she caught on, I made a backup of every DOJ correspondence, proof of her offshore deals. But Julian's video changes everything. We can't take this to the authorities anymore. They'll see us as the criminals." "So what now?" Maya demanded. He looked at her. "We take it public." Her eyes widened. "You mean leak it ourselves?" He nodded. The truth only works if it's louder than her lies. Maya hesitated. If we do that, there's no going back. No safety net. Daniel's voice softened. We passed that point weeks ago. They stood there for a moment, the rain outside echoing through the concrete walls. Finally, Maya said, "All right. We do it my way." Daniel raised an eyebrow. Your way? You've been playing chess. I'm going to flip the board. She took the tablet, typing fast. We'll feed the files through multiple sources, investors, press, watchdogs. No single trace back to us. But first, we need one thing she can't manipulate. What's that? A live confrontation, Maya said. We expose her in front of the entire board. Let them see her collapse in real time. Daniel studied her, the fire in her eyes, the precision in her voice. The woman who once wanted to climb the ladder was now ready to burn it. He gave a slow, dangerous smile. Then let's give the queen her checkmate. Outside, thunder cracked, as if the city itself knew what was coming. For the first time, they weren't enemies. They were allies. Temporary. Unstable. But deadly. The boardroom looked different that morning, too quiet, too polished, too rehearsed. The city shimmered behind the panoramic glass like an indifferent witness. Maya stepped out of the elevator, hair tied back, eyes sharp. She wore black, wore color. Daniel followed a step behind, suit immaculate, jaw set. Neither spoke. They didn't have to. They both knew, this was the endgame. Inside, the board members were already seated, murmuring in low tones. Cameras were set up along the wall, Arden's quarterly press broadcast, scheduled to begin in minutes. Evelyn Drake stood at the head of the table, radiant in white, smiling like the executioner at her own coronation. Miss Ross. Mr. Shaw, she said smoothly. How thoughtful of you to attend, given your circumstances. Daniel's lips curved faintly. Wouldn't miss it. The press lights flared on. A host's voice echoed through the speakers. Welcome to Arden Capital's quarterly review. Today, CEO Evelyn Drake will address recent concerns regarding corporate integrity. Evelyn began her speech, every word polished, calculated. Arden has always stood for transparency. We believe truth and accountability define leadership. Maya almost laughed. Transparency? The word tasted like poison. Daniel leaned slightly toward her, whispering, 2 minutes until the feed goes live worldwide. You ready? She didn't answer. Her hand slipped into her blazer pocket, brushing the tiny device hidden inside, a flash drive encoded with Evelyn's full transaction history. Evelyn continued, smiling toward the cameras. Sadly, internal betrayal has threatened our foundation. But I assure you, Arden will emerge stronger once we've purged those who've forgotten what loyalty means. That was it. The cue. Maya stood. Excuse me, Miss Drake, she said, loud enough for the microphones to catch. Before you talk about loyalty, maybe we should define it. The room froze. Heads turned. Evelyn's smile didn't waver, but her eyes flashed warning. Miss Ross, this isn't the time. It's exactly the time, Maya cut in. You wanted transparency. Let's start with yours. Gasps rippled through the board. Daniel tapped his tablet under the table, one keystroke, and the hidden feed connected. The screens behind Evelyn flickered. At first, static. Then documents appeared, offshore accounts, falsified audits, wire transfers under Evelyn's name. The journalists in the room began shouting questions. What is this? Are these real? Evelyn's voice sliced through the noise. This is nonsense. Fabrications created by 2 disgraced employees trying to save themselves. Maya stepped forward, eyes blazing. Fabrications? Let's ask the DOJ agent you've been paying under the alias Volkov Trading. A murmur rolled through the room like thunder. Evelyn's poise faltered for the first time. You don't know what you're talking about, she snapped. Daniel's voice was calm, lethal. She does. And so does the world. You're live, Evelyn. The color drained from her face. She turned toward the cameras, red lights blinking, broadcasting every word across financial news networks. Evelyn tried to recover. Ladies and gentlemen, Save it, Maya interrupted. She turned toward the board. You want proof of betrayal? Check your own signatures. Every one of you authorized offshore deals she engineered. You didn't even read the fine print. A board member stood. Is this true? Evelyn slammed her hand on the table. Enough. But Daniel wasn't done. He pulled up a second file, the video recording of Evelyn and Sergei Volkov finalizing the illegal sale of Arden's data systems. The image projected onto the glass walls. Evelyn's own voice filled the room. Once it's transferred, erase the files. Make it look like Ross's failure. Silence. Heavy. Complete. Evelyn turned to Daniel, her voice low and venomous. You think you've won? You don't understand who you're dealing with. Oh, I understand perfectly, he said. I built the system that hides your crimes. I just changed who it hides. Security burst in. Board members shouted. Journalists fired questions. Maya stood motionless, watching Evelyn's empire crack in real time. Evelyn lunged for the control console, but Daniel intercepted her. The struggle was brief, desperate. The power dynamic that had ruled Arden for 15 years collapsed in seconds. When it was over, Evelyn stood shaking, eyes burning with hatred. You'll regret this, she hissed. Maya met her gaze. Maybe. But at least it'll be my regret. Daniel turned off the projector. The room was chaos, calls, alarms, panic, but outside the glass, the city kept glowing, uncaring. Evelyn was escorted out, her white suit streaked with the reflection of red security lights. For the first time in years, she looked small. Daniel stood beside Maya, breathing hard. It's over, he said quietly. She shook her head. No, Daniel. It's just beginning. He frowned. What do you mean? She handed him a flash drive identical to the one they'd used. This one doesn't go to the press. It goes to the authorities. I'm not burning the system, I'm cleaning it. He stared at her, realization dawning. You're taking her place. Maya's smile was razor sharp. Someone has to make sure the game doesn't start again. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Daniel gave a low laugh, half admiration, half disbelief. You really are the better player. She met his gaze, calm and unflinching. No, Daniel. I'm just the last one standing. The cameras kept rolling as the screen faded to black. The city woke up to chaos. Every news feed blazed with Arden Capital scandal, stock tickers bleeding red, investors panicking, journalists camping outside headquarters like vultures. On every screen, Evelyn Drake's downfall replayed on a loop. Her voice, her face, her confession, looped, dissected, immortalized. And at the center of it all, Maya Ross. The whistleblower inside Arden, hero or opportunist. New power rises in the wake of corporate collapse. The headlines never agreed, but they all had one name in common. Maya sat in her apartment, watching the coverage in silence. The morning sun painted the skyline gold, indifferent to the wreckage below. Her phone buzzed non-stop, reporters, lawyers, old colleagues who suddenly believed in her. She ignored them all. The knock on her door was soft but deliberate. She didn't need to look to know who it was. Daniel. He stepped inside without waiting for permission, closing the door behind him. He looked different, lighter somehow, but still carrying the exhaustion of a man who'd burned too many bridges to count. "Nice view," he said. "Depends on what you're looking at," Maya replied, not turning away from the window. "The world thinks you saved Arden." She gave a small, humorless laugh. "Arden doesn't exist anymore. The board voted to dissolve half its divisions before dawn. Evelyn's assets are frozen. The rest of us are just scavengers fighting over the remains." Daniel leaned against the counter. "You could walk away. You've done enough." She finally faced him. "Walk away? After everything she built on people's backs? After she used me, used you?" "No, Daniel. I'm not walking away. I'm rebuilding it." His jaw tightened. "You mean taking her place? If that's what it takes to fix what she broke, yes." He shook his head slowly. "You can't fix a system that was designed to corrupt." "Maybe not," she said quietly. "But I can control it long enough to stop it from hurting anyone else." For a moment, neither spoke. The air between them was thick with the scent of rain and endings. Then Daniel said, "The DOJ reached out. They want to question both of us." "Good," Maya said. "I'll tell them everything." He frowned. "Everything?" "Yes. Including your role." That caught him off guard. "You'd turn me in?" "I'd tell the truth," she replied. "You used my credentials. You lied. You hid evidence. I also gave you the weapon that took Evelyn down. And I'm grateful," she said evenly. "But gratitude doesn't erase guilt." Daniel took a step forward. "Be careful, Maya. You're sounding a lot like her." Her eyes hardened. "No, Daniel. I'm nothing like her. She built a throne. I'm building a firewall." He studied her for a long moment. "You're changing. Power changes everyone," she said softly. "You taught me that." A phone rang, not hers, but his. He checked the screen, his expression shifting. "It's Julian." Maya's stomach tightened. "What does he want?" Daniel answered, putting it on speaker. Julian's voice came through, smooth as ever. "Congratulations, the both of you. You've officially become the story. But you might want to check your six. Evelyn didn't fall alone." Maya stepped closer. "What are you talking about?" "The Volkov deal. It wasn't just her signature. Someone else approved it. Guess who's listed as secondary authorization?" Silence. Daniel looked at her, realization dawning. "That's right," Julian continued, almost laughing. "Maya Ross. Your credentials. Your audit stamp. Every dirty transfer tied right back to you." The line went dead. For a second, neither of them moved. Then Maya whispered, "He's lying." Daniel shook his head slowly. "No. He's playing her last card. Evelyn must have left a backup plan, a dead man's switch. If she fell, it'd drag you with her." Maya felt the room tilt. "So I'm still the scapegoat. Unless we can prove otherwise." She met his gaze. "Can we?" He didn't answer. That was enough. Maya turned off the television. The city outside had shifted, same skyline, different storm. She walked to the window, watching her reflection blur into the morning haze. "I used to think truth could save people," she said quietly. Daniel joined her by the glass. "Truth doesn't save. It exposes. And exposure burns everyone." She glanced at him. "So what now?" He looked out over the skyline. Now? We go dark. Find what Evelyn left behind before the DOJ finds us. Maya smiled faintly. You make it sound so noble. He met her eyes. It's survival. She held his gaze, the faintest edge of exhaustion softening her voice. Then let's survive. Outside, sirens wailed through the streets, the sound of collapse, of rebirth, of something new trying to emerge from the ashes. Maya didn't look away from the window. She destroyed one empire. Now she would decide what rose from it. 6 months later, Arden Capital had a new face. The headlines that once screamed scandal now whispered rebirth. Evelyn Drake's empire had been dismantled, restructured, and rebuilt under new leadership, and at the top of the tower, on the 82nd floor, sat Maya Ross. The new CEO. The survivor. The woman who burned the game and wrote her own rules. She sat at her desk in the glass-walled office once owned by Evelyn, gazing down at the city as dawn spilled gold over Manhattan's skyline. The world had already started to forget the scandal. Time, like power, erased everything eventually. Her assistant entered quietly. The board's ready for you, Miss Ross. Maya nodded. I'll be right there. When the door closed, she exhaled softly, her fingers brushing the edge of the black marble desk, the same one Evelyn had ruled from. It felt colder now. Or maybe she did. The phone on her desk buzzed once, a private line, unlisted, encrypted. The number had no name. She hesitated, then answered. A familiar voice came through, smooth as a ghost. Congratulations, Maya. Daniel. Her heart gave a small, unsteady beat. I was wondering when you'd call, she said quietly. You've done well, he said. Arden's rising again. Investors trust you. The DOJ's closed their investigation. You've made it. I didn't do it alone, she replied. You did more than you think. You survived me. That's not nothing. Maya leaned back in her chair, eyes on the city. Where are you? A soft laugh. Somewhere quieter. Somewhere that doesn't need suits or secrets. You running? Maybe. Or maybe I just learned when to walk away. Silence. Then Daniel said, You're not done, are you? She smiled faintly. No one ever is. You know they'll come for you eventually. I know. And when they do? I'll be ready. He paused, his tone turning softer. You sound just like her now. Evelyn? Power, he said. It changes the voice. Before she could respond, the line went dead. Maya stared at the silent phone for a long moment. Then she slipped it into a drawer and stood, smoothing the lapel of her suit. In the boardroom below, the new leadership team was waiting, clean faces, eager hands, ambition glowing in their eyes like a disease she once carried. As she stepped into the elevator, the mirrored doors reflected her image back at her, strong, composed, unflinching. But behind the reflection, she could almost see Evelyn's ghost, smiling in approval. The elevator chimed. Doors opened. Every conversation in the boardroom stopped when she entered. Good morning, Maya said, her voice calm, precise. Let's begin. The room came alive, charts, projections, plans. Maya listened, nodding, her face unreadable. When one of the executives began to speak about global expansion opportunities, her mind drifted, not from boredom, but from awareness. She recognized the hunger in their voices. It was the same hunger she'd once had. Power wasn't something you earned. It was something you held, until someone stronger decided to take it. As the meeting went on, Maya glanced toward the panoramic glass. Outside, the skyline shimmered, alive and watchful. Somewhere out there, Daniel was still moving, still watching. And somewhere deeper in the system, the next Evelyn Drake was already being born. Epilogue, the message. That night, the office was empty. The city lights below flickered like dying embers. Maya stood alone by the window, the reflection of her own face dissolving into the glass. For the first time in months, the silence felt heavier than the noise of the world. She poured a glass of wine, opened her laptop, and checked her secure inbox, an old habit she couldn't kill. One new message. No sender. No subject. She opened it. You finally won. Now, play fair this time. No signature. But she didn't need one. Maya closed the laptop slowly, a quiet smile curving her lips. Outside, thunder rolled far beyond the city, soft, distant, but coming closer. She raised her glass to the dark skyline. To the next move, she whispered. Then she drank. And somewhere, unseen, the game began again.